What's happening in South Africa right now? Anti-migrant protests are making headlines once again. Businesses have closed, police have been deployed across several cities, and many foreign nationals are choosing to leave the country or seek assistance from their embassies because they fear violence. As the country watches these events unfold, many people are asking the same question: how did we get here? At first glance, this looks like a modern crisis. But this conversation didn't begin this week. It didn't begin after apartheid. In many ways, it began more than 150 years ago. In 1867, diamonds were discovered near Kimberley. Less than 20 years later, gold was discovered on the Witwatersrand. These discoveries transformed South Africa almost overnight. Small settlements became booming cities, railways stretched across the region, the mining industry expanded at an extraordinary pace. But there was one problem. There simply weren't enough workers. Mining companies looked far beyond today's borders. Workers were recruited from what are now Mozambique, Lesotho, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Eswatini. For many families, crossing borders for work became a way of life. Some fathers would spend months or even years away from home, sending money back to support their families. Long before today's immigration debates, Southern Africa was already connected through labor migration. In fact, the industries that helped build modern South Africa depended on people moving across the region. But there was a contradiction. The economy needed migrant workers, yet those same workers were rarely encouraged to settle permanently. Past laws controlled movement. Mining compounds separated workers from their families. Contracts were temporary. The message was clear. Their labor was welcomed, their belonging was not. The contradiction would shape the region for generations. When apartheid ended in 1994, South Africa entered a new era. Regional cooperation expanded, trade increased, movement across borders became easier in many respects. But the economic inequalities that had driven migration for generations did not disappear. South Africa remained one of the region's largest economies. For many people, crossing the border continued to represent opportunity, the chance to find work and support loved ones back home. Today's headlines may feel new, but migration has shaped Southern Africa for generations. The countries have changed, the governments have changed, the economies have changed. Yet, one thing has remained remarkably consistent. People continue to move in search of opportunity. That's not a story that began this year. It's one that has been unfolding for more than a century and a half. History doesn't tell us what policies South Africa should adopt today, but it does help us understand why this conversation keeps returning. Because to understand today's headlines, we first have to understand yesterday's history. And sometimes, the bigger story behind the news began more than 150 years ago.